This video is going to allow us to review a lot of the terms involved when we start discussing matter. Obviously, since we're doing chemistry, we need to talk about matter. So this actually is a Prezi that I've created. So up, obviously, in the top left-hand corner, we've got the most important definition, and that is, what is chemistry? Chemistry is the study of matter and its changes. And so the rest of this is going to take a look at what is matter, how do we classify it, what are some of the terms that are involved, and so forth. This should be, for the most part, a review from what you learned in first year. All right, so first off, we've got a joke, because I cannot do anything without being a jokester. What's matter? Nothing. What's the matter with you? I know, corny jokes. You'll get those all year long. You'll have to get used to it. All right, so matter by definition is anything that has mass and takes up space. So mass and volume. Those are the two criteria for anything that is considered matter. So energy does not have mass, energy does not take up space, therefore energy is not matter. It can be divided into two types. You've got pure substances and you have mixtures. We're going to take a look at the pure substance side first. Pure substances are matter that has a definite proportion. That proportion does not change no matter what, and it also has very distinct properties. So water, for example, has the ratio of 2 hydrogens to 1 oxygen. It is colorless, it is odorless, it boils at 100 degrees. Those are all true properties no matter where you find that water, assuming that it is pure water and not contaminated. Those are all things that all water has in common, regardless of where you find that water. Pure substances, if possible, can only be separated by chemical processes, and you're going to see why I have if possible there. Elements can't be separated at all, compounds can, so we'll get into that momentarily. All right. So, speaking of elements, elements are pure substances that cannot be decomposed into simpler substances. They are made up of one type of atom only. And if you don't know this, there are currently 118 known elements. We are at the end of row 7. If they discover another element, or I should say if they create another element, we will be starting a new row on the periodic table. So that's kind of exciting. All right, so elements can be individual atoms, or like the diatomics, you have 2 atoms of the same element chemically combined, but they are still just one kind of atom, as opposed to compounds, which are composed of 2 or more different kinds of atoms, 2 or more elements. Compounds are the materials, the pure substances that can actually be separated chemically. That means we have to do a chemical reaction to get the hydrogen and the oxygen separate from water, or the carbon, the hydrogen, and the oxygen separate from sucrose or from aspirin. So there's the difference. Pure substances can be elements, one kind of atom, or compounds, 2 or more kinds of atoms. Looking into properties now. Properties are characteristics of substances that allow you to recognize that type of matter and distinguish them from others. There are both chemical and physical properties. And these properties we are going to look at much more in depth as we start to explore molecular structures and IMFAs and so on and so forth. So a lot of the properties can be explained by those kinds of ideas, the types of interactions, the types of bondings, the types of IMFAs, and so forth. Physical properties are those properties that you can observe without changing the identity of the material. So, melting point of water is 0 degrees Celsius. Regardless of how much water you have, it melts at 100 degrees, or it melts at 0 degrees Celsius. It boils at 100 degrees. Color of something. You have iodine gas is always going to produce the same color of purple. So that's very useful for identifying. There are two kinds of physical properties. Intensive properties are those which are independent of quantity, like boiling point or color or odor. Regardless of how much you have, it's going to have the same value. However, an extensive property does depend on how much matter you have. So the quantity of energy that gets produced, the volume of that the matter occupies. More matter, more volume. So extensive properties are not useful for identifying the material, whereas intensive properties are. So when you have to do identification, intensive properties are the only thing you're going to want to use. Aside from physical properties, there are also chemical properties. In order to observe those, you have to destroy the material. So things need to undergo chemical reactions in order to observe chemical properties. So here's one short video that lets you see an example of a chemical property. So there actually is no sound on this video. But what he is doing is he's taking various kinds of metals and putting them into some round bottom flasks. We don't use round bottom flasks, I think, ever in AP Chem. Maybe once when we do distillation, maybe we will. So there is nitric acid inside these videos, or inside these flasks. And so you are seeing what happens when the various substances react with nitric acid. The first one, you saw nothing happen. The second one, you saw it go very fast. The third one, I don't know if you could tell, that was copper mesh. And so you're getting a reaction there, and also with the last one. So there's an example of chemical properties. So we're going to move on. Maybe, there we go. So that takes care of everything we want to talk about in terms of pure substances. Now, if you have a combination of pure substances, those matters are called mixtures. Those materials are called mixtures. So within a mixture, each pure substance maintains its own properties. And you can change the ratio of mixtures. Water is always H2O, but salt water can be 5% salt, 20% salt, 80% salt. So you can change the ratio. Mixtures can be separated by physical means. You can filter, you can distill. You can use a magnet to separate iron from other things. So mixtures can be separated physically much more easily than what pure substances can be separated. All right, so in terms of mixtures, we have two types. We have homogeneous. Mixtures are evenly distributed throughout the sample. So for example, you've got a copper sulfate solution. If you take 5 samples of this copper sulfate solution, the ratio of copper sulfate to water is always going to be the same. Likewise, a sample of brass is always going to be the same regardless of where you were to take that sample. The ratio of nickel, zinc to copper is always going to be the same in a particular sample. So homogeneous mixtures look like one substance. They look like a pure substance. Same color throughout, same ratio throughout, so on and so forth. The only reason that they are not a pure substance is because they are a combination of pure substances that have not lost their original properties. If you remember, homogeneous mixtures include solutions and colloids. The other kind of mixture is heterogeneous mixtures. That is where you have an uneven distribution. So it's obvious that you have parts in both of these ideas. Granite, you can see the blacks and the whites and the pink flecks. Or wood, the rings definitely tell you that there are different components in this. So a heterogeneous mixture is an uneven distribution. You can actually see that it is composed of multiple things very easily. Here's another nice visual for mixtures. Heterogeneous mixtures tend to separate, and the components are not evenly distributed. So you can see the purple and the blue dots are definitely not evenly distributed. This would be an example of like oil and water. Oil would float on top of the water. Homogeneous mixture, like the brass or the copper sulfate solution, you would have copper sulfate distributed completely evenly within the water, which makes it homogeneous. And if you remember, I forgot to mention, heterogeneous mixtures are suspensions. If you're looking at aqueous substances or liquid substances, suspensions are heterogeneous, and solutions and colloids are homogeneous. Solutions are the only type of material that we are going to, or mostly use in class. Homogeneous mixture of solutions. All right, so there you have it, a bunch of terminology that you should have gotten in first year that we will use as the year progresses. So make sure you get comfortable with those ideas.